What's up, guys? It's Dustin, the online writing tutor, and I'm back to provide you with more writing support. Today, we're looking at body paragraphs for essays, and we're going to look at something called the M.E.A.L plan. So M.E.A.L stands for Main Idea, Evidence, Analysis, and Link. But before we get started, let's look at a summary of a story which we're going to be analyzing. So if you're not aware, Roald Dahl is the author of Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, BFG, James and the Giant Peach, and so many other well-known children's stories. But he also wrote stories for teenagers and adults. Here's one called Lamb to the Slaughter. And in it, Mr. Maloney coolly tells his wife, Mary, that he is leaving her. In a rage, Mary Maloney kills her husband by swinging a frozen leg of lamb at the back of his head. While she is prepared to face the consequences, she fears for the well-being of her unborn child. So, she forms a plan to deceive the detectives she calls to her home. So again, when using the M.E.A.L plan, M stands for the main idea. Here's where we want to state what we will be analyzing. While Mary Maloney's initial reaction to her husband is born out of rage, her subsequent deception stems from concern for her unborn child. So we can see that in this paragraph, we will be looking at the motivation for Mary Maloney's deception. Of course, in academic writing, it's never enough to just make a claim. We need to be able to support that with evidence. And in this case, evidence from the text. Mrs. Maloney is prepared to face the penalty for her actions, but she fears for her child. What would happen to the child? She wasn't prepared to find out. Note here that I've also cited the author. Okay, so that takes us to the analysis. And when it comes to analysis, you don't want to repeat what has been said in the evidence or restate it. What we want to do is we want to further develop those ideas and provide insight into the evidence that was offered. We also want to connect it to our answer. So note that in the evidence section, we stated that Mrs. Maloney is prepared to face the penalty here, but she wants to protect her child. Well, here we say, indeed, more than self-preservation, motherhood guides Mrs. Maloney to deceive those investigating her husband's death. So we're noting that it's not about her own survival, it's about her being a mother and caring for her unborn child. She is motivated to not only lie, but also to do so naturally for the welfare of her child. So her skill as someone deceiving others comes from this motivation. Okay, so as we noted before, L stands for link. And this is where we want to bring the paragraph to a close and connect it to the next paragraph in the essay. Here's an example. Her success in convincing the detectives of her innocence is also due to the true feelings of grief she feels from her husband's death. The next paragraph, as you can guess, is going to explore how this grief helped her to deceive the detectives that came to her home. All right, so when you put all of these together, the main idea, the evidence, the analysis, and the link, you should get a paragraph that looks something like this. While Mary Maloney's initial reaction to her husband is born out of rage, her subsequent deception stems from concern for her unborn child. Mrs. Maloney is prepared to face the penalty for her actions, but she fears for her child. What would happen to the child? She wasn't prepared to find out. Indeed, more than self-preservation, motherhood guides Mrs. Maloney to deceive the detectives investigating her husband's death. She is motivated not only to lie, but also to do so naturally for the welfare of her child. Her success in convincing the detectives of her innocence is also due to the true feelings of grief she feels from her husband's death. So when you're writing body paragraphs, it's important that your sentences are cohesive. And there's a few ways to do this. One is to use ideas that refer to previous sentences. We can also use connecting words, and we can use strategies linking ideas between paragraphs. But when we do this, it's important that we are not too repetitive. Here's an example of using cohesion in a paragraph. So the bolded words here do help create cohesion. For example, what would happen to the child refers to the previous sentence where we mentioned the concern for her unborn child. Indeed shows the relationship between the previous sentence and the sentence using that word. And this natural behavior points back to the previous sentence as well. Now, you might have noted that this paragraph was fairly short, but we can elaborate on our ideas through a few different techniques. One of these is to brainstorm through asking focused questions about a character or about an author or message within a story. So thinking of these ideas first before you write can help you write a much stronger analysis, and then also elaborate on your ideas and avoid repetition. All right, so another way that you can elaborate is by expanding on the paragraph. So instead of just having one main idea, you can have subtopics within the paragraph and then evidence and analysis for each subtopic before closing it off with the link. Okay, so it's time for a review. Go ahead and write down what each letter of M.E.A.L stands for, and you can pause the video here. So remember that M stands for main idea, E for evidence, A for analysis, and L for link. In the second review, go ahead and write down the 2 methods used for elaboration. All right, I'm Dustin, the online writing tutor. If you're looking for a writing tutor, check out the links below if you're on YouTube. If you're not, you can always check out my bio. Thank you so much and have a great day.